Welcome to the Artists Behind the Art. This is an online interview series with featured artists from Europe and the UK. And together with my colleague Beatrice Comoli, we will endeavour and try to deliver some fantastic interviews with some fantastic artists that we have featured on our Facebook page last year throughout the pandemic and throughout the lockdown. My name is Beatrice Benedek and I am the creative director of Benedek Productions, and let me tell you, I am really happy to be able to host yet another episode of this fantastic series. Now you might have noticed that there has been a gap between the last episode and the current one, and that is mainly because we have decided to start another campaign and feature another fantastic 12 artists, again from the UK and Europe, throughout this year. So we thought that it would be great to have alternate months. So during 1 month we will represent 4 artists every Friday. So make sure you tune in on Fridays on our Facebook and on our Instagram page, and you can just have a look at the people that we are trying to get across to a wider public. And then the second month, or the other month, we will be sharing then our episodes of the Artists Behind the Art. So there we are. This year is sort of basically sorted on content, and we really hope that we can inspire you with these interviews. We can inspire you with these features. These artists are fantastic, and I'm honestly very happy and honored to be able to share them with you. So yeah, just make sure you follow, like, comment, share our pages and share the news with the wider world. But anyway, I am very happy about today's invited guest, and I really hope that you are as excited as I am to get to know this person. So without further ado, let's just crack on. Today's invited guest I had the pleasure and honour to work with on a couple of projects in the past, and we're still waiting for the current circumstances to ease, life getting back to a different type of normality, so that we can finally resume our work on a project which is currently on hold since the beginning of lockdown. So yeah, it's been halted last year in March, but we really hope we can get back to it as soon as the theatres will open. But he's probably one of the best known musicians in the northeast of England, if not the most known up north. He's worked on numerous projects, musicals, concerts, shows, both for performing companies and theatres, as well as obviously for himself and his own company. But honestly, guys, ladies and gentlemen, just have a look on his website and have a look at his credits, and you'll just see everything that he has achieved thus far in a very short amount of time. And you'll also see that I have not exaggerated when I said that he's probably one of the best known in the Northeast. But I think I will dare to take this further and say that the whole Northeast thing is not entirely accurate, mainly because his reputation exceeds the Northeast. So, and I'm saying this, ladies and gentlemen, because he has been working on numerous projects down south as well. That's where I've met him, especially in the home counties and in London. I mean, not everyone is closely mentored by Professor Graham Danby of the English National Opera. So, as I said, it's not only the Northeast that he's really well known, but also all around the UK. And let me just tell you, if you are ever having a project in mind, or you want to, pep your performance up in any way whatsoever, I really suggest you get in touch with this fantastic artist, because I'm telling you, you'll be incredibly lucky to have him on board, especially when staging musical theatre or theatre with music, or if you need any backing tracks or anything else of that sort, he's your man. So on that note, I would like to offer a very warm welcome to our invited guest today, musical director, musician, composer, teacher, Tim Jasper. Hi Tim, hello.
Hello B.
Hi there, how are you?
I'm really good, thank you.
I'm
a bit like flattered by all those nice things you're saying.
Well, I mean, I'm only saying the truth.
But
I hope. I mean, that's how I've
know.
experienced it, so that's why I'm saying them. But anyway, thank you so much for accepting this invitation and for being on this interview today with us. And
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm really excited to share all of your achievements and everything that you have done thus far with the wider public. As you know, ladies and gentlemen, this is not going to only air in the UK, but also all around the world, because it's something called YouTube. So there we are. Check it out. The artist behind the art. Right. So, Tim, I have done a little bit of an introduction here, but I would actually want you to tell us more about yourself.
All right. So I'm Tim. I've been playing the piano since a very young age. I'm a multi-instrumentalist, so I also play cello, trumpet, I sing, all that jazz. So I pursued a career in maths initially. I did a maths degree at Durham, and it was at my time at Durham that I realised that my heart wasn't in it, and that music had always been in my heart before university and was throughout, and I wanted it to be my sole purpose after university. So literally as soon as I graduated was when I started working with Professor Graham Danby, who mentors me, and that's what my whole career kind of took off from 2015 really, mainly thanks to him, but also thanks to, I guess, the hard work I put in the years beforehand to be able to do that, you know what I mean. And then since then, the amount of opportunities I've had have been mostly from word of mouth, you know, like most recently I've been working at Associated Studios in London, which again I wouldn't have got without the contacts I've made, without people saying, oh, you should get in touch with Tim. So I've been, I guess, lucky that people like me enough to want to talk about me and say, you know, recommend me to other workplaces.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting to see that even with my previous invited guests, there was sort of a detour before you actually started doing what you're doing at the moment. Like, there's always something that nowadays probably our generation knows as like get a degree in something useful, but we still end up doing what we love to do in the art world, you know. It's just really, to a certain extent, it's quite sad that we have to take these detours, to have to prove others that, well, yeah, we can maybe graduate from a university or something with a degree that has nothing to do with our art, but still do our art alongside that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is, I mean, to a certain extent, it's actually frustrating, but hey ho. I do want to.
Oh yes.
So I did want to ask how. I mean, you said that music was in your life from the very beginning, but how did it come to your specific art, and how did you get started in the first place?
It's a good question, I guess. So in terms of musical direction, which is what I would consider my like primary work, from like secondary school, I guess having like, I don't want to sound like big-headed, but having like a gift for music, the music staff at school always entrusted me with like rehearsing other students, assisting MDing the show, and like the head of music. So like I was always like part of the team unofficially. So that kind of sparked my interest. Then like local areas started getting in touch with me because we had the band at school. So like in Washington, near Newcastle, they got us in for a show. I didn't actually realise I was actually MDing that show. I just thought we were playing the music, and then they turned up to the rehearsal and they were like, right, go on then. And I was like, what? Oh, I'm conducting this. Okay. So that was like officially like the first out of school thing. So, in terms of getting started in the first place, I guess it was just a good, secure upbringing of practicing as a child. I used to skip breakfast to practice every morning. True story. Every lunch, I'd be in the rehearsal room practicing. So the hard work was always there, and it was just a matter of finding the opportunities to suddenly present themselves to me, and I was ready to hit the ground running, sort of thing. I'm not advocating missing breakfast. That's an important meal. Please have your breakfast, everyone.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Tim. I actually wanted to say, everyone, just don't miss your breakfast. But no, it is great. With every artist I've talked to, not only during this series, but also before, and especially with musicians, it is something that is always coming up. The fact that you're sort of missing out on things that maybe other people, like other children or other young people do, because you're driven by something that you're super interested in, Do you have any... Do you think that has taken away from your experiences as you were developing as a child, or has actually given you more of a confidence or more of a boost to do more in this direction?
I think initially you'd expect it to have a negative effect because I said I was isolated by myself, engrossed in what I'm trying to achieve, which is to get better. So you'd think negative, but actually I found over the years it's made me a lot more approachable because I'm so comfortable with my own, with myself, that people just feel like they can just slot in and be with me and not feel intimidated or they can't talk to me. So I think, I don't know how it's happened, but on the opposite side of it, I think personality wise, it's allowed me to be open and be confident in myself, that I can go out and go forward and just be communicate with people well.
Yeah, fab. Yeah, it does definitely make sense. Would you say that you started, was piano the first instrument that you started sort of pursuing more at the very beginning?
I think so. I mean, from what I remember, I feel old now. It's such a long time ago. I think about the same time it was piano, or because I had a big body, they recommended the cello to me. It was either cello or rugby, and I didn't want to damage my fingers, so it was definitely cello. I don't know which one was first, but I think piano's always been the one that I've long-term known that would be more useful in a career in music, whereas cello is a bit niche. It's a bit like you either play it or you write for it.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, I trust you on this one because you are the musician and you are the expert. Yeah.
What? I don't know.
Okay, well, I asked about the piano because you, ladies and gentlemen, we asked Tim to share with us a photo collage. That meme challenge that I was mentioning in the first episode, and I have failed to look up what it's actually called, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to actually share that now with you. We can just go through it and see how much of that applies or not.
To be fair, when you described this to me, I was like, what on earth are you on about? And then I looked it up, I was like, oh yeah, obviously it's that thing. There's no name for it. There's no name.
I know, right? I was like, that photo collage theme that goes online quite often. Anyway, but here it is. So one of the first ones is the pianist. So care to go through it, Tim?
Yeah, sure. So the first left one, top left, I thought really sums up what everyone thinks I do, which is sit and look quite mournful. Because I always tend to be I do so many lessons on Zoom at the minute, and I'm always sat here regretting my life, looking at a screen, touching the piano as if one day I'll play you again properly. So I think people see that a lot from from their interactions with me. Obviously that is not true. I love teaching as well. It's just because I'm sat on the screen all day, every day, and everyone knows how bad a screen is. So that's the first left. I thought it resonated specifically for now, but not in general. Other musicians, everyone thinks this about pianists. They think, oh, there's the pianist who uses two hands, shows off. Wears tails. I do have tails, so that is partly true. I just thought it's funny. Bugs Bunny is hilarious, and the way that he's touching one little note and it's ding, as if we're the missing piece of the puzzle, which we really are. I'm not going to deny that we are. The society one, I thought that was funny, and it's also quite true, which is just to sit with your feet on the piano and just contemplate life, which to be honest is also a thing. I've definitely sat at this piano lots of times with one leg on it, thinking oh, what a life this is. But to be fair, I do love it, so it's alright, but I thought that picture was just really funny. The bottom left, my mum definitely, that was me as a kid, sitting at the piano practicing every day, as I said before. I came home from school into the piano, even because my mum was the deputy head at my school, so after school, while I was waiting for her meetings, I'd go to the chapel and play the piano there and like practice for whatever I was doing. So she definitely still thinks I do that. I often see her actually peeping through the door. I've got a glass door just over here, looking to see what I'm doing, and I'm obviously, because that's all I do. She's like, oh, there he is, practicing again. So that is, I think that's definitely apt. Also applies to my dad, but there's only had mum on the thing. What's the next one? What I think I do. I don't actually know what he's doing. It seems to be in his own little world, and like, I don't know. He seems a bit engrossed, and I definitely find myself engrossed sometimes. Not so much these days, because I guess I'm not performing as much at the minute. But there's definitely times where I've been performing that I get so invested in it. Actually, to be fair, the one time recently that you wouldn't expect it was in Panto. I did the Panto in Liverpool Arena. One of only 8 pantomimes at Christmas 2020. So I was so lucky. But there was one song in it. It was the last song, Rockin' All Over the World. And there's something about, maybe the arrangement, the song itself, but it was just like, I got so welled up in this song. It's a pantomime, it's like hilarious, but like I probably like connected to this song, which I think it was probably the circumstance as well of like letting out some performance after like a year of not. So that's what I definitely think of that picture, is that I'm just engrossed and I love getting out what it is. However, what I actually do, which is on the next picture, is sit in the background and everyone else gets the glory and I sit at the front playing the piano, and I might get a bow if I'm lucky, or a little hand. There you go, have some bread. But no. So that is me. That's me on the left there. You'll probably just see me, the one that's not smiling, the one who's not getting the focus. That is accurate.
Fantastic. I was just thinking about what you said with the penultimate one, that, you know, because you've sent us some pictures from shows that you've done as well, and to be honest, you're like, the photographer has definitely captured you in many poses where you are so into your music, and it's so difficult to catch that on camera, you know. But you know, it's nothing unusual, and I think I'm so happy that you actually resonated with each one of them, because the hilarity of these photo memes, or this collage, is that most of the time it's not accurate, but actually it is accurate in your circumstance, and also in a very hilarious way. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's fabulous. It's fabulous, the fact that you can, especially during pandemic and during the lockdown, you seriously get to the point where like, oh my God, I can see myself in that. I can see myself in that, and in that, and in that, and in that. Oh my God, what's my life?
That is the thought that I've had so many times.
Well, thank you very much for sharing that with us. So I think I'll probably just carry on with another question, and that is regarding the inspiration behind music. I mean, you know, I have sort of, you know, I know I have followed your music from the moment we've met, you know, and there's always something very inspiring when working with you or when looking at you, because as in the photo meme challenge, you transpire and you project that passion, and it's a very difficult thing nowadays, in my opinion, for young artists or emerging artists or established artists to still transpire or still project that sort of a passion, especially when you do it like for years, you know. But it's the opposite with you, Tim. I can see that it's coming through your music, but also through your non-verbal communication when you're doing your music, regardless if you're now playing the piano or the cello, or when you're like, you know, directing, basically. So what was the inspiration, or what is the inspiration that sort of transpires into this passion, and then this passion transpires to us?
So the passion that I find in the work that I do, I think, comes from a real drive inside me to achieve high standards regardless of the material. But I find that a lot of the work I do helps to have material that is already, you know, something excellent to work with. I'm thinking especially of the work I do on Sondheim's work, because to me there's no better work than Sondheim's in musical theatre, because everything's thought through. And every time I play it or I study it, I find real joy in his work. So I think for that kind of work, it's easy to radiate my energy off that because I'm already taking it in. For other work where I'm maybe not so much a super fan, as it were, I think my work ethic is to make everything a professional standard, but even if I don't like it, like at the end of the day, I've got to deliver a job. So even though, for example, pantomime, it's funny, it's easy, but still it has to be the same standard as if I was loving it and I was like, fully invested in the work. So I think that's probably what drives that kind of passion in me.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. That's, I think it's very, especially, I mean, I don't want to like categorize everyone here, but it is difficult for, young artists or emerging artists or even established artists, as I said before, to find that drive to deliver at a professional standard, because at the end of the day, in the professional world, that's what is expected, regardless.
Yeah.
So the way you're approaching your art during smaller projects or middle-sized projects or big projects is how you're going to be viewed as, and regarded as. And as you said at the very beginning of the conversation, it's word of mouth. If you wouldn't have chosen to deliver professional or like a high standard services, to any company like Panto, for example, you wouldn't have probably gotten any chances afterwards. So.
Well, exactly. And you never know who's watching. That's the big thing. Because there's so many times it's happened to me. Like, I've had someone, even today, actually, I text someone about, I don't know what it was, some job. And he said, oh, P.S., I can't wait to see your next Sondheim show that you put on. I don't know who this guy is. Never met him in my life. So, people are watching all the time. And it's important to be aware of that.
Exactly, and you have like this niche thing that you have started up north as well with Stephen Sondheim's music as well, So it is definitely something that people, as you said, strangers that might love Sondheim's music will just say things to you as they've just said now, So I think I think that artists sometimes do forget the fact that the things that you put out there online, especially now during the pandemic, is watched. And you never, you can't once say that, oh yeah, I'll just leave it for now, or just, not deliver at the high standard, because that might be the making or the breaking of you, So it is difficult to always stay, to stay present and to stay focused on these things, but it's worthwhile. It's really worthwhile.
Particularly now as well, where the future isn't necessarily clear. Before the pandemic, we're cruising along, doing our thing. Now, whatever you're doing this time, you can't let this slip for later. This is still got to be working standard. That's the hardest bit about this pandemic for me, is keeping that mental attitude that actually the world is still going on, regardless of what happens in your own world. So it's a hard mindset to get into, but once you're there, I think it's invaluable.
Exactly, and that's the thing, that you don't know what the world is going to be up to, but the fact that you have continuously done stuff, even during the pandemic or during the lockdown, already shows much more than other people might show, that. Okay, I can't find my motivation, but I will do it regardless, because we don't know what the future will hold. And also, theaters nowadays or companies are still, they're planning for the future regardless. It's not oh well, we're still in the lockdown, so we'll maybe resume our work later on. No, people are planning. People are always okay, it's ready to go. Whenever they give us the green light, we're just ready to go and launch this or that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So having said all of that now, what is sort of the general message that you would try to convey through your art? Because I know we have talked about the very professional side and how you should present yourself as an artist, but what is you, Tim, you as a person? What is it that you would like to carry on, to carry out, or what is it that you want people to understand from your art?
I would say my biggest passion, as I've said before, is the music and lyrics of Stephen Sondheim. And the way, when I started Nest, what I wanted to convey, and what I think I've achieved so far anyway, is to tell people that there were more Stephen Sondheim works than Into the Woods and Sweeney Todd. That was what started it all, was the fact that these two works get overdone, probably by people that, without sounding patronising, aren't trained enough to do a Sondheim work. Okay, you know what I mean? Like, it's tricky work, and it has to be well thought through, well understood. And what I wanted to do with that was to bring other works of his to the Northeast, to expose people to what maybe wasn't being touched upon. So what I want to get out of my next work is to expose people to a higher standard of work that they probably wouldn't have seen before. So in 2018 we did the Northeast's premiere version of Sunday in the Park with George. It was probably one of my favourite shows I've ever been part of, because everything worked so well. We had an unreal cast, we had the full band. It was my first produced theatre as well. It was a joy to see full houses and such glowing reviews from a show that, you know, they would have never seen before, or probably never heard of unless you've been to drama school, and even then you probably wouldn't have done it. So that's what I want to get, is with most things, but also especially with the Sondheim, is to expose people to art they wouldn't necessarily see, which is also similar to with my original stuff. So like Karakoram, obviously no one's seen it, but people maybe haven't even heard of the word Karakoram before, know what it is. It's basic as that. It exposes people to something new, and for me theatre is about two things. One is to teach a lesson / expose people to things, and two, which is linked but subtly different, is to make people think. If I go to the theatre, I want to be I want to think, I want to be challenged, and I want to learn something. I don't want to go and sit back for 3 hours and spend £60 doing that. I could watch a film and do that, if you get me.
Absolutely. And you don't have to pay for it. You can watch it from your home, basically. But it's also like, I couldn't agree more with you. You know, I do get sometimes comments like, yeah, but a theatre should entertain as well. And you don't have to, like, you go to the theatre to get away from the woes and worries of the world. And I'm like, yeah, sure. But if that would have been the only thing that theatre would have done, we wouldn't be there. We wouldn't be here now with theatre. It could have just gone on. You know, it's just, I really think that there is more of an educational side to theatre as well. Like more something that it should challenge you on a mental and intellectual level. You know.
That's I was gonna say, that's exactly why I love Stephen Sondheim so much, because he gets that. So you can, for example, Into the Woods, right? We've all heard of Into the Woods. You can watch it and think, a lovely fairy tale, how fun. And listen to all the lovely little stories, little characters, and they intertwine, whatever. But really, it's not about that. It's about educating children. It's about teaching people. And so that, you know, they learn something in the woods. Take Giants in the Sky, right? The first lyric is, there are big, tall, terrible giants in the sky. Then he sings his song, da-da-da-da-da-da. End of the song, he goes, there are big, tall, terrible, awesome, scary, wonderful giants. And he adds wonderful on the end. The other terms are still negative, they're still scary giants, but he's added wonderful because he's been somewhere and he's learned something new that he didn't learn before. And that's what he does in the whole show, but he also does it in every single song. I Know Things Now. He goes along the path and learns something about the woods and about the wolf. And actually, there's subtle stories of like sexual discovery for Little Red. For Jack, it's about, I love being at home where it's safe, but I can't explore. But I love being in the sky where I can explore, but I feel in danger. So I want to be in between on the beanstalk. And it's all like about children discovering and learning. And that's what the actual story is about. And it's genius that it's so well interwoven. That's why I love Sondheim so much.
And it's the twists that he puts in, because you know he's taking you on an adventure, like on a story, but you don't really see the twist coming, as you've said, you know. And that these twists are easily made through like incorporating one word, like one adjective, you know, as you said just before, like wonderful, you know, because you don't need more. You don't need an entire song. You can just emphasize what you've gone through within that story with one word or with one sentence or with one melody or one change of tune, you know, that takes you on a completely different drift. So yeah, I completely understand what you mean by that. Well, great! Thank you for sharing that, and like you gave me a bit of a goosebumps here just to talk about about theatre, musical theatre on an intellectual side, because sometimes people really don't understand that theatre has this enormous power to I don't want to get political, but definitely educate, definitely educate like the society, from young ages to teenagers to young adults to seniors. So that's what I'm saying. Well, Tim, why did you choose composer this time? And yeah.
So I, as well as musical direction, I've always liked composing. Many different works. I've written an album that my sister recorded of like Christian music. So that was a few years ago. But most recently, as you're well aware of, Beatrice, but everyone else may not be, is that I wrote an opera called Karakorum, a contemporary opera in one act. And Beatrice was directing / producing that with me, which is where we not met, but second met, I guess. Like, that, what's the word? Reconvened. Let's say that. And during this pandemic, I've also been writing the second opera. That's planned to be a filmed opera, so like still opera but in film format. So I regard myself as a composer. I'm not, I'm probably not the middle bottom row level because he's a good guy. But I don't think I'm not One Direction, let's put it that way. I can write more than 4 chords in one song. So we'll go for that middle ground, right? So I'll go for the challenge, top left. Well, my friend, no, the top left one, right? I wasn't really sure which one am I? Am I the person at the top or am I the little girl at the piano? I wasn't really sure. I'm assuming I'm the one at the top, because I'm not a child, saying, no, this is how I want it played. I'm assuming that she's playing something that I've written, right? That's why I went with this picture. And that's me going, now, do it my way, because it seems to be like that, I guess. It's not like that, I'm not that bad. But I think the importance of playing what a composer has written is paramount. So, if I've written a note or a word, I've written it for a reason. I very much inspired by my G, Stephen Sondheim. So, and that's exactly what he does. So I always, I put thought behind every word. So people I say friends, including cast members in that, when I'm saying, no, I didn't write that. Like, I did write that for a reason. So please sing it, what I wrote. But also, I'm not a dictator. So that's the first left one. I went a bit serious, but I'm sorry. The second one, oh my goodness, right. So whenever I write a song, and I'm like, Mum, this is like 2 weeks ago, I got commissioned to write a piece, and I showed my mum and extended family, and I got so much feedback because I'm just a little baby, I don't know how to write a song, and you can do this, why don't you do this, Tim? Come on, I'll guide you. Like, I know what I'm doing, I really know what I'm doing, and sometimes, it's not as bad as that, I'm not a baby, I wish I was as small as that baby, but I can't, I do feel like my mum definitely thinks that, like, it's really nice. Oh, isn't that nice? My kid. And she is supportive, to be fair. But also, I know what I'm doing, What society thinks I do, that's me with a bottle of alcohol. That is also an accurate picture. There's no way to deny that. But I definitely don't sit there and compose at a table without a piano. I'm massive on 2 things. Composing at the piano and not at a computer. And also composing with a pencil and not with a computer, because for me and also some guy called Stephen, the connection of the pencil to the paper, it's that physical contact between the brain and the sheet where the music happens, and typing it isn't the same. You need to write it. So all my music is handwritten first, and then I type it up purely for legibility and nothing else. But also, I do have a glass of gin with me right now because it's Sunday. So, cheers. Alright, where are we now? Now, what performance thing I do, this is cast as well as the first one, but this is specifically cast now, which is pulling the strings, making it happen, and I'd say that's accurate. I think that's correct. I mean, there's obviously just, there's the director's view, there's a producer's view, there's other people's views, but the music, as a composer, stands for itself. So that is me pulling the strings. I've got no discrepancy with that. That is me. With a little spiky haircut and no glasses. Right, what I think I do, it's not go deaf, as you might think. I can hear. But I do think of, it sounds very vain. I do like my work. I really think highly of my work, but I wouldn't put it out there if I didn't think highly of it. You know what I mean? Like, if I thought it was average, I'd either A, work on it, or B, bin it. Yeah, I only want to release stuff that is of quality of Beethoven, or well, not Beethoven because I don't like Beethoven really. I prefer other composers like Shostakovich, for example, or John Adams is who I'm listening to at the minute. But what I really do, it's sort of that. It's more at a piano. I couldn't find one at a piano, so it's not at a computer. It's me at the piano going, "Oh my goodness, I can't think of any ideas. There's no melody coming out to me, or it sounds like the last scene I just wrote, or like." And it's a lot of frustration, and I think that comes with a job where you've got to churn out lots of stuff. If I'm writing, for Karakorum, I was looking for Karakorum actually because a lot of the ideas came to me in a dream for that. I had a dream of the whole show, a lot of music, and the first thing I did was get a bit of paper and write it all down. So that was lucky. I don't think that happens every time. It hasn't happened for this last one, but it's a lot of frustration of like, oh my goodness, what on earth do I do now? But it's just about it. Everyone has it. Writers have it, like authors have it, poets have it, painters have it. What do you paint next? So
but directors have it too. Like directors have it too. It's like, how can I put something on that is not the same thing as last time? It's definitely like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I did Sister Act 4 times in 1 year a few years ago, and like you can't just do the same show 4 times. People have seen it once.
Exactly.
So you gotta find ways to manipulate and change things.
Absolutely.
In a healthy way.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Again, it's just given
Sorry, I went on a rant a bit, sorry.
No, don't worry, it's fine, don't worry. Because it's just given you, ladies and gentlemen, another view of the incredible Tim Jasper and how he's going, or what the process and the thought process is behind his work. And I think sometimes, well, lay people, I should say, or people who are not that into creative arts or music composition or music whatever, how much work goes into such things. And it's not only like, oh yeah, here is a piece of paper with loads and loads of music on it, which I absolutely love. It's as you said, it takes days, months, weeks, sometimes years for certain people. Steven Spielberg, he's not producing a movie every year. It's like it takes years in between some movies to come out. So exactly. So we have really covered quite a lot with you, Tim, and I'm actually quite happy that we have, because as I said before, you're very versatile from that point of view. But I think we have already touched upon this a bit, but maybe we could just emphasize a bit more. What do you think what do you consider success then? So both on the personal or professional level, what is it that you see as success?
Alright, I think the easiest one is professional level, so we'll go there first, that's alright. Professional, for me, is as simple as delivering the show accurately, reliably. Consistency is big for me. So in terms of musical direction, it's making the ship run smoothly. The MD is the only creative in charge of a show once the show's on stage. So it's making sure that pressure doesn't make me crumble, and delivering a smooth show. And all that stress, and the audience are there oblivious to watching the show happen smoothly, but that's the fun in it. As long as they can't see your face, you're fine. Personally, success for me personally, it sounds cheesy, it sounds very Disney, it's staying true to your heart. And by that I mean I've come through a lot, right? Because I've done a maths degree, which is not where my heart really lies at all. So I made the switch, then this happened, which has made working really impossible. And I've always wanted to just do music. So following your heart is what is the best thing. In terms of composition, I will refer to a line by the great Stephen Sondheim, which is, anything you do, let it come from you, then it will be new. And it's talking about don't worry about other people's perception of what you create. So, people might not like my composition, and that's totally fine. They don't have to like it. I'm not forcing anyone to like what I write. But as long as I like it and do what is true to me, then that's all I can do. That is success to me, by doing what I can create. So that's what I would regard as success.
You know, it's so interesting again that you say that, because with the previous two artists that I have interviewed, they said the same thing. Well, maybe different words, but the same thing in terms of like, whatever you do, just make sure you don't lose yourself in the process and that you stay true to what you're doing. Because, as you said, otherwise, it's someone else's art, you know?
Well, yeah. Like in this new opera, that's been a thought on my mind a lot. Like, I've been writing things, and sometimes the thought comes into my head, will people like that? Was that tune catchy enough? And really, it doesn't matter if it's catchy enough. If people like it, they'll like it. If they don't, they'll don't. So I need to just write what I write, and then let them do it for themselves.
Absolutely.
And that's fine. That's what art's about. Like,
exactly,
yeah.
and I think too many artists, or again, I don't want to generalize, but seriously, I'm saying this because I see it happening all around, you know, and I'm in another country at the moment, and I see this happening here as well. Is that people think too much about, oh, what is it the other person going to say about this, you know, and they're like drifting away from what they are good at. And also, at the end of the day, no one is forcing anyone to like someone's art, you know. I mean, that's sorry, plant. That's the beauty. That is the beauty of art, you know. Like, you don't have to like someone's painting or someone's music or someone's direction, because you have tons of other things that you can focus on that you like, but some people won't like, you know. So that's, and we just need to get away from this negative approach of, yeah, well, that's not art. What? Who says? You know, we're over 7 billion people on this planet, you know, and if each one of us would do art, there will be 7 billion different ways of doing art. That's that, you know, because each one of us have their own unique styles, their own unique approaches, interests, passions that we want to incorporate in our work. So, hello. We have talked, so we've covered now success, and we've covered, as I said, many other things. What is it that you would consider, challenging, shall we say that? What is it that you've encountered as super challenging in your development, or in your development as an artist, as a musician, as a composer?
The biggest challenge I face regularly is working with singers, because my MD head says, stick to the original source material. You don't need to change it. You can't make it better than what the composer's written. My enjoying entertainment head says, oh yeah, it sounds really good what you just did there. And I think that constant struggle in me to balance what's written with what sounds really good, I'm sure, but isn't what's written, that's a big challenge for me as an MD. As a composer, the challenge is, I guess, is staying true to myself. And also the challenge is not sticking with what I know. It's very easy to just churn out piece after piece that's very safe. And I don't like being safe. I like to push that boundary. So this second opera I've written, it's got like an electronic vibe to it. It's purely electronic instruments, like synths. It's very, very different to Karakorum. Because I wanted to challenge myself. I've already done a show for an acoustic orchestra for a 12-piece, so why not do an electric one? And it's going to be for a film. It's for a digital media, so I thought digital music would match digital media. So I try and keep fresh. I think that's the big challenge for me, is keeping fresh in an honest way.
Yeah. I mean, it's always good, like, especially with artists, it's always good to just get outside of your comfort zone and always think like that, like think ahead, sort of. It is definitely challenging, because sometimes, as you've well pointed out in one of your photo challenges, you're just like, what the hell should I do now? I don't know. Where should the inspiration come? How can I just put something else or something new, something fresh on? So yeah, good challenge there. I mean, I really hope that many people can resonate with what you said now, and just have the courage to admit it, you know?
Yeah, there's no shame in it. Like,
absolutely.
Everyone has it. Literally everyone has it. And you know what the best thing to do is to step away sometimes, know when to step away, and don't get bogged down. Because if you get bogged down in it, and you say, no, I'm going to sit here until it comes, like, you're not in the right frame of mind. You need to, if you're going to create something, you need to create it with with the inspiration. Don't just do it for the sake of doing it.
Exactly. You need some air. You
Like
need
this-
some space. Yeah.
Like last week I was writing one of the scenes and I got halfway through and then like the spark kind of went. I was like, I could plow on, but the first half will be significantly better than the second half. So I stepped away and I was like, I'll come back to it. So I'm going to come back to it soon as I get the fire.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we've asked Tim to share quite a few stuff with us besides the photo like the photo memes, and he's been very kind to share a little video with us, and we will play it now. And after that, we can discuss about it, Tim, because I'm very curious to hear why you have chosen this video in particular. Okay.
It makes me smile so much.
I know it has such a great vibe to it, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, tell me, Tim, why did you choose to share this with us?
I wanted to share that with you because, well, it makes me happy. I always watch it like regularly because there's so much good, like so much joy in that video. It starts off, we're just jamming away. It's just like a generic looped chord sequence. There's nothing, fantastic, but like we're all working tightly. It's like chilled vibe, and I'm improvising, doing my solo at the start. So I love that. I love just improvising and do you know what I miss? It's just jamming with other musicians and like getting to play with people. There's something you can't recreate about the connection between a tight band, and I love that. Then we cut to the trombonist, and that makes me laugh because his mute falls out. But what also it shows me is that the band are professional enough to not start crying laughing, and we still have to keep going with the music. Even though after it stopped, we then started crying laughing. But it's very funny. And then I just like the ending because I love a good dab, as you'll know. And it just shows me joy can be found even in the most trivial underscore music.
Oh, absolutely. And I think with music especially, it's so much easier to find the little moments of joy within such circumstances. I mean, because if you take like any other art form, and not to be or belittling any art form per se, because each one brings its own joys. But with music, because it's sudden, it happens as you're doing it. You can find like these little sparks of things that you can then enjoy with others at the same time. So you're sort of having the same experience, but still not have the same experience because each experience is unique, right? Yeah. Oh, great! Thank you so much for sharing that, because again, it just shows us, ladies and gentlemen, how versatile Tim is, and it's not like only composition or musical direction or teaching or backing tracks, like composing backing tracks, but also having fun in jam sessions, which I really hope they will come back once this lockdown eases. Yes. So that's, yeah, thank you, Tim, for that. We will just jump to the sort of towards the end of this interview now, and there is a question I would like to ask you with regards to some advice. So if you would be put face to face with your younger self, what sort of advice would you give to that person, to that Tim?
Right. So I couldn't ask my younger self to do much more prep, because I did pretty much all the prep you could do in all the hours of the day. But what I would advise my younger self is to stick to your guns a bit more. Like when I was applying for uni, I was looking at music courses. It wasn't like, I wasn't just looking at maths. And I think I got a bit swayed by peer pressure, or not necessarily peer, but like other influences. And I know like a lot of the MDs I've worked with have said, you don't need a degree in music, it's more who you know. And that's all very well in saying that. But also, for my own sanity, I just feel like a music degree would, I don't know, for myself, would have felt much more confident in myself doing the roles that I do. And I'm so lucky with what I've managed to achieve so far. So like, I think, I'd stick true to what you know is right, and then knowing you've done the back work to earn your place.
Yeah.
That's what I would advise my younger self.
Oh, very, very nice. It's so interesting to see that so many people would advise that to themselves, just stick to your guns and just stick to what your heart dictates. Again, not trying to fall into that cliche, but that's literally the truth, especially when it comes about any art form. Yeah. Right, well, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, just before this question, we are approaching the end of this interview, and I think this is the best moment for Tim to share with all of us all the fantastic platforms that you can find out more about his work, his projects, himself, etc. So, I'll just give the word to Tim.
All right. So, if you want to check out my personal work, my website is timjaspermd.com. First of all, I can't believe that website was available, so happy days. So you can hit that up. You'll find things about my compositions, my shows, my credits, backing tracks, any concerts I've got on at the minute. So all my online concerts are going through that at the minute. So everything you want to know about me is there. You can get in touch with me. I'm generally happy as well to talk to anyone if you've got any questions. I'll happily help anybody, as everyone's helped me in the past. So, anyone that wants to talk about music or anything to do with what I do, happily drop me a message and I'll message very quickly. I'm quite a fast replier. You can also find my theatre company Nest, which is NESST, at nest.net, or on Facebook for both. So Tim Jasper MD on Facebook, or Nest North East Stephen Sondheim Theatre is also on Facebook. And Nest is also on Instagram. Nest Online is the Instagram username. I think that's what it's called. I'm not in charge of social media, so that's fine. That's pretty much everywhere you can find me. Or you'll see my name scattered about various, colleges in London or wherever, or different shows. You just look out for the name, you'll see it.
Exactly. I mean, I would just point out, he's quite active on Facebook as well, and he's also mentioned Instagram, so just check him out. It's fantastic work that he's doing, and he's genuinely very quick at answering messages. I can vouch for that. Tim, thank you so much, really, for taking your time for this interview. It's been really fun talking to you about your art.
It's been absolute joy, and lovely to speak to you again.
Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. As we said, we've been on pause now, on standby for quite a while. I just hope we can get back to what we love doing as soon as possible. But yeah, thank you again for accepting the invitation. It's always great to catch up, and best of luck with everything that you're doing at the moment with online stuff, obviously, because we can only work online now. Best of luck with your new opera. I really hope it can hit the ground like flying, and you'll be great at it, and I'm looking forward to seeing the development of that. Hopefully we can get back to Karakoram as well soon. Fingers crossed.
Hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. And thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in for another episode from the artists behind the art. I'm Beatrice Benedek, creative director of Benedek Productions, and we had this conversation with Tim Jasper, musical director, composer, musician, and I really hope we can see each other next time. Until then, have a fantastic start of April, a fantastic spring, and hope that wherever you're watching from, lockdown is easing. Until then, bye. Ciao.